Hey, this is Jessica DeMassa. I'm here with Kevin MacDonald. He is the co-founder and CEO of KitCheck. So Kevin, great to have you with us.
Nice to be here.
All right, so KitCheck, you guys are a startup here in the pharmacy space, and I want to come back to that because there's not a lot of startups here. However, I want you to introduce KitCheck to us first. So tell us about KitCheck. What do you guys do?
Sure. KitCheck helps hospital pharmacies better manage medications, lower drug costs, increase patient safety, and increase efficiency. At the end of the day, we're taking medications, individual doses, and making them intelligent nodes on the network.
All right, very cool. And so tell me, I guess, a little bit about how the company got started and where you guys are at today.
Sure. It's funny. We're in Vegas here, and our very first trade show was here in Vegas in this very hall. We had 3 people at the time. It was my co-founder, my wife, who we called the director of operations at the time, and myself. We started because there was a friend of my wife who was a pharmacist, and she was talking about this very manual process she was going through. And it sounded horrible, and it seemed that there was a better way to do it, and my co-founder and I brought a product to market.
All right, so I understand that you guys have just announced a really pretty big deal with Omnicell, which is one of the leading, it's like an automated pharmacy business.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about this deal and what does this mean for you?
So Omnicell is really leading the pack in terms of the larger vendors in the space, in terms of pushing this idea that we want to get the humans out of delivering medications to the patients. By doing that, we increase safety and increase efficiency, all the things that we're trying to do. What it means for us, we have this larger partner that can get us into a lot of the hospitals in the country, and we jointly share this vision of automating things. So we're playing a part in detecting where there's opioid crisis problems with providers and hospitals and fitting into their broader Omnicell One vision.
Okay. And then Kevin, as far as, getting into these hospital systems in the pharmacy, this is one of those things, getting into the hospital system anywhere along the care delivery spectrum is difficult. Tell me about, candidly, what it's like getting into pharmacy, because this is not often an area where we hear a lot about disruption and innovation and tech coming in. So give us a report from the front lines here.
Well, so there's a lot wrapped up in that question, but there is so much focus on clinical care, and there really isn't as much focus on the operational side of things, yet there's so much value to be gained in the operational side. And honestly, if you don't know where your medications are and you don't know how it's moving, the sort of supply chain of drugs and inside the hospital, you're losing actual clinical insights that happen, because we're measuring things like outcomes or what's coming out of the EMR, but a lot of times that's a function of a medication error or something else that we can only see by having visibility into the medications flowing through the hospital.
All right, so is this pharmacy space like a good frontier for startups to get into in terms of trying to disrupt and bring in more tech?
So I think that there's an amazing amount of opportunity in terms of making the way stuff gets to patients better and really bringing us to the next level of how we're doing things. A lot of the technologies that are out there today have been out there for 20 or 30 years. And, folks like us being able to take a fresh start and being able to use modern approaches where we can see all of our 500 hospitals in one place, being able to use a cloud-based architecture. We don't have to go through all the sort of infrastructure changes that some of the old players would have. And I think that creates a lot of opportunity.
With the pharmacists themselves or with the nurses who have to deal with medication, what's been your experience with them? Is that a crowd that's ripe for integrating new tech in, or is that a crowd that generally speaking is more like, oh God, it's messing with the workflow, leave us alone?
Well, I think that if you show something with a clear benefit that you can fit in with their workflow, there's opportunity, right? So if you say, hey, I'm going to completely blow up the way you're doing things, then it's going to be tough. But with our first solution we brought into market, we are effectively taking what they are having and doing manually and making it 90% faster.
Okay.
And with this workflow around opioid diversion, what we're allowing them to do is the work that they would do today 1,000 times more in a tenth of the time.
Okay. Say a little bit more about the work you guys are doing around opioid diversion.
Sure. We're basically helping the hospital understand where every opioid travels throughout the hospital and every interaction that someone in the pharmacy, the OR, or a nurse may have with that drug, and then helping figure out where are there things that I will say, are unusual, or they call it diversion. So where might someone be stealing drugs? Where might someone be using drugs on themselves? Really, it's a huge issue that a lot of folks don't know, but something like 10% of nurses and anesthesia providers over the course of their career will end up diverting opioids. And it's a patient safety risk, and it's a, sort of a social risk in general.
Absolutely.
So being able to get ahead of that and help it before it becomes a massive problem is an important thing.
All right, so tell me a little bit about KitCheck. Give us a state of play. Where are you guys at from a business standpoint? I know you've raised quite a bit of money. You're at a C round now, right?
Yeah,
right about 50 million, I think I read. Tell me a little bit.
Yeah, we've raised 3 rounds of funding so far. We're at more than 500 hospitals across the country and growing very quickly. We're looking to just sort of expand our footprint in terms of number of hospitals and also the solutions that we can provide to the hospitals. And that's part of the reason why we wanted to join up with Omnicell, was to help bring some solutions to market faster, because they have things that we don't, we have things that they don't, and we think the combination allows both partners to bring more products to market faster.
Very cool. Well, best of luck to you as you're scaling. Good to hear, good to hear. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jessica DeMassa. Thanks for joining us.